On the Paper Talk today, we'll be talking about this soft deadline Manchester United have got for takeover bids, looking at who could be coming in to take over Manchester United. We'll also be looking at a couple of transfer rumours and some good news on the contract renewal front. Let's check it out. Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it is a bit nippy, although I'm warm from walking very fast. Right, we'll get into it. Loads of stories to get through this morning. A little bit of post-match reaction. The morning after the afternoon before United beating Leeds at Ellen Road 2-0, a great result. Goals from Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford. We love to see it. So I'll have a little bit of that. There's also talk, obviously, this week of the takeover. I think there's a soft deadline, which you don't know what that is, but it's basically a soft deadline of this, well, the 17th. When is that? Is that Friday? I think it is, isn't it? So yeah, there's a soft deadline for bids on the 17th, but with it being a soft deadline, I imagine that bids can come in after that. But we'll get into that anyway. We'll have a little look at that. And we'll also have a look at some transfer stories as well. So make sure you are getting involved in the comments. And if you've not done already, hit that subscribe button. And also, while I'm at it, give us a like. Right, let's have a look what we can start with. Let's tell you what, let's start with a little bit of positive news. And this is from Fabrizio Romano. And this says, Manchester United have already sent the new contract proposal to Alejandro Garnacho and his representatives. Talks are very advanced. Image rights and final contract length among points being discussed, but Man United have always been confident to get it done soon. Listen, regardless of what he did yesterday at Ellen Road, I mean, you can include that if you want, Garnacho is a fantastic player. I don't understand any of the grief he was getting. We spoke about that extensively on the channel. Me and Steve spoke about it on Friday. Me and the lads who were doing the podcast, the watch along yesterday, spoke about it. Doesn't make any sense. Plus, when you look at that goal, if you want to speak about that goal yesterday, it's just a little reminder. This kid's a talent. He's 18 years old. He's played quite a few games this season for Manchester United. I think he's got 2 goals and 2 assists now in about 12 Premier League games, which is not a bad record for someone who's, still in his teens. Also, as well, let's not forget, he was probably the shining star in that FA Youth Cup run last season. Obviously, in the final he was, but in the run as well. So when you look at that and you look at what he's doing and what he's capable of and how much higher or, the levels he's probably got to go to, it's a complete no-brainer for me. Get the kid tied down to a long-term deal and stop giving him grief if you are doing. Give your head a wobble. So, yeah, that's a positive one. Right, let's move on to some of this takeover bid talk, because there's quite a few stories doing the rounds. Now, there's an article on the BBC that sort of sums it all up. It says a soft deadline of 17th of February is approaching for the first round of proposals to buy Manchester United. The Glazer family are considering selling the clubs as they explore strategic alternatives, in speech marks. There has only been one public declaration so far from businessman Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and there is uncertainty about interest in the Premier League club. So from Qatar, now it looks like Qatar, we spoke about this earlier last week, have been given the green light. There was some confusion as to whether they'd be able to, because they own Paris Saint-Germain, but apparently it's going to be 2 separate entities, although it looks like those 2 separate entities go straight up to the Qatari ruling family, which is something that worries me a little bit. Not specifically about the Qatari ruling family, but any ruling family, any sovereign state owning Manchester United, no matter how much they want to sort of disguise it, it's still sports washing to me, and I'm not into that. I don't mind a private investor from that country. I've said it a million times. I don't care what country you're from. It's just this whole idea of a sovereign state buying Manchester United, especially when we've just had the World Cup in Qatar. People talking about human rights abuses and LGBTQ rights and all this stuff, and now it's like, oh, well, they're going to buy United and they're going to build us a new stadium, so we'll turn a blind eye to it. Doesn't sit well with me. But get involved in the comments in the chat and let us know what you think. There's also the similar story in the Manchester Evening News and the Daily Mail as well, saying that the Glazer family have reportedly set Friday as a soft sale deadline for interest to be made concrete, meaning there are now only days remaining for any interested parties to lay out their plans for the club. Now, one of the sort of points being made about the Qatari royal family is they've got that much money that they would rebuild Old Trafford and do the training ground as well and invest in the team and all that stuff. But that's not the point, is it? Yes, that's important, but for me, that's not the issue with them. It's the other stuff that I've already mentioned that I won't go into. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe did an interview in the Times. I think this went out yesterday. I was reading it, but I'm going to talk about it because he's the only one who's, as I just mentioned earlier, sort of publicly announced through Ineos' company that he's making a bid and making an attempt to buy Manchester United. He's probably the fans' favourite from what I've seen online. I can't speak for anyone other than myself, but I've seen a lot of talk online about Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and because he's originally from Manchester and went to the games, so there's an interest there more than just wanting to buy the club and make money. He seems to care a little bit about Manchester United, which is more than you can say from some of the other people involved, and certainly more than you can say for the current owners. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe seems to be the favourite amongst a lot of United fans. He did an interview with the Times now. He sort of said no comment when he was asked about United at the beginning of that interview, but when the Times were doing this article about United, he did say, if you're going to do something, you either go all out or you don't do it at all. Now, this was a reference to the price it would cost to buy Manchester United, how it could cost around $5 billion. And then you've got this quote from him: if you're going to do something, you either go all out or you don't do it at all. Now, that makes me think that he is going to go all out, because that's what he's talking about. He's a businessman that's always sort of, gone all out in his business career, took some risks, calculated risks, I think you could say, and has been very successful. He's now Britain's richest man with a fortune worth around £20 billion, depending on who you read. So I think that there's a good chance he's going to be really going for it. There's a good chance Qatar is going to be old. We'll see anyone else as well. There may be a consortium like there was at Chelsea. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Manchester United's win over Leeds at Ellen Road. Why not? Erik ten Hag was speaking after the game, and he spoke about Marcus Rashford. Rashford just on fire this season. I think he needs one more goal, is it, to beat his season's ever best? And we're in February, and we had a World Cup in the middle of this season. I mean, that's just bonkers, isn't it? You're talking about Rashford's form. Ten Hag says, I don't know when it will stop, but if you are satisfied with it, then it will. And because satisfaction goes to laziness, you have to keep investing every day. When he keeps the investment and keeps the focus in every game and brings the energy and belief in, he will keep scoring. He has the skills to score with right, with left, and with his head. It's about getting him into position. I mean, another headed goal from Marcus Rashford. He's scoring headers constantly. What's going on? This is just a phenomenal season, and there were some of us that always believed in him. Harry Maguire spoke after the game as well yesterday. Maguire seems to be sort of divided opinion. Well, say divided opinion. I think the majority of people thought he had a bit of a ropey game. Some people giving him praise though, and it was a clean sheet. But he spoke after the game. He said, obviously I want to be a part of it. I'm still playing my part coming on in games. I've started 4 since the World Cup, so I'm still getting my minutes. But of course, every footballer wants to start games. It's disappointing when you don't, but all you can do is train well and be ready when the chance comes. Sensible comments there from Harry Maguire. He went on to say a bit more, but I won't go into the entire quotes. But I get the impression at Manchester United that everyone's kind of on the same page under Erik ten Hag, even if they're not completely happy with the amount of minutes they're getting. He seems to have a pretty happy ship, shall we say. Now, Marcel Sabitzer, who had a very good game against Leeds yesterday, it looks like, from what the reports, what we're seeing, he's suspended for the upcoming game against Barcelona. That's a suspension that carries on from a Champions League game for Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, it looks like that's going to carry on. But Casemiro is back. It just feels like we can't ever seem to get a settled or strong enough midfield. I know Casemiro coming back obviously gives a massive boost. Would have been great to see him and Sabitzer playing together, but we're going to have to wait for that one, because according to various reports, he's suspended, which is a bit of a blow. Now, transfer news. There's some stories doing the rounds here. The word from Fihages, that reputable publication, is that Victor Osimhen, who is a United target, I've spoken about him extensively on the Paper Talk, is wanted also by Liverpool, and they're saying that Liverpool are ready to fight back, and this is coming via the Times about FSG, ready to fund a major rebuild of Jurgen Klopp's squad this summer, which is a bit odd considering that Liverpool's up for sale, so you don't even know if FSG are going to be there. But we do expect Liverpool to do something in the transfer window in the summer, and it looks like Victor Osimhen could be on their list, but he's already on Manchester United's list. So United and Liverpool could be going toe-to-toe for him. I also saw another story as well in the evening news, and I thought it was 2020 all over again. And this is Paulo Dybala interest. And this is according to Calcio Mercato. United are keen on the 29-year-old forward, who has registered 11 goals and 7 assists in 21 appearances for Jose Mourinho's Roma this season. We've been linked with Dybala probably longer than 2020, actually. I think we're going back to about 2018, 2019. Didn't happen then. I don't think it's going to happen now. You never know. At 29, it's one of them. I feel like that transfer, if it was going to happen, would have happened a few years ago. But as always, we'll keep you posted. We'll be back later on with the Paddock podcast. Make sure you check out all the post-match reaction from yesterday. revel in it, bask in it, bathe in it. Beating Leeds, it's a good feeling, innit? Especially after the disappointing draw here at Old Trafford. So go there and give them a beating. It's always happy days, innit? So make sure you check out the reaction from Adam McCullough, Stephen Howson, and Andy Tate, of course. We're back later on with the Paddock Podcast, where we've got a special guest. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I've been Jay Matty, outside Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.